Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Marv. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Hey everyone, how's it going? How are you today on this, I think it's Friday. Thank you. Just wanted to jump online here. It's been a few days and just have a chat about the conviction and how everyone's feeling. I've got some other things in the works for you guys for when I get home, breaking down information and testimony, and I'm looking into some of the laws for you guys. That's been a challenge, let me tell you. Reading the laws is not easy, and I'm learning as I go. So I'm hoping that'll be beneficial here coming up, and I'm gonna go from there. But I just wanted to come on and let you know that I'm here. I'm still in Indiana, and I'll be leaving after the Flora Memorial Walk on Sunday. So, sorry, just trying to get a few things situated here. Okay. Let's see here. First of all, Randy, how you doing? D. Berlin, nice to see you. Judy, Andrea, I'll get to see you tonight. Looking forward to that. Get out of my kitchen. Hello. Michelle, nice to see you. Gibbo. I'm doing all right, guys. I've spent the past few days doing a lot of sleeping. I got a cold, so I'm taking my Fast Max and trying to knock it out of me. Mornings are kind of rough. You know how that can be. When you have a cold and you got to get the medicine in you to feel better. So, otherwise I'm doing good. Enjoying my time. Last night I went to the chili cook-off at the Delphi High School and had a good time with the kids and learned a lot about the school. That was nice. Oh, Gibble, I have been sleeping quite a bit. Yeah, we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna do a few part series here on the trial. Like I said, I'm trying to get some information on Indiana law, and explain to you why certain things weren't allowed in on the case. Okay, and then we're gonna go through the evidence that was presented at trial, and then I'm also gonna go into detail on how I think the defense could have done a better job, because I'm not the only one that said this while we were sitting there listening to this, but the defense team was very unorganized. There's a lot of things that they could have brought up to try to help Richard's case that they didn't. And it kind of baffled me, because this is supposed to be an experienced team of lawyers. And a few of us were just waiting for the moment where the defense really brought it, right? And I didn't have that moment with the defense team, and it was crazy. I would have thought that they would have been more on their game. Not being able to even portray the correct information at the bridge and stuff to the jury. So I want to go over that kind of stuff. What the charges were, how the jury was supposed to look at the charges, and why they came to the decision that they came to. That's going to be really important for the audience, because you guys weren't there. So I think there's things that could have been done differently, definitely on the defense side. The prosecution side, I thought they portrayed the story. They created a story of how things went. And I believe that they gave evidence and testimony that could only prove that Richard Allen was the man on the bridge. If you can't put anybody else on the bridge or around the bridge at that time, he's got to be the guy. So I do know that, there's probably going to be an appeal for Richard Allen, and new attorneys will be appointed to him for that appeal. I'm doing some research on appeals and what information the defense would need to provide in order for the Supreme Court or whoever to listen to that appeal to get him a retrial. And so far, I'm finding 7% of convictions go and get retried. So that's a very small amount. And I know that there's misinformation that has been given out through the media, even on YouTube, things like that. We're going to go all through that. So this is going to be a multi-part series. I've been spending the last few days, like I said, resting, trying to organize my notes, and looking up information so that when I bring this to you guys next week when I get home, it's going to make sense to you why Richard Allen was convicted. Because that's what's important. There's people out there that support him. There's people out there that believe he's guilty. But in a sense of the law and a trial, I want to bring you the information and everybody the information, no matter what side you're on, to explain why the jury came to the conclusion they came to. And I think that's really important. And I would have done that even if they had found him innocent or there was a hung jury. I would have done that anyway, because there was no transparency in this case. You only had 24 individuals that were allowed in that courtroom every day for the trial from the general public. And I would say a good portion of those were media people also. So, the transparency in this case was very lacking. Now, I've had people ask me, when are we going to get to see some of this evidence? Well, the general public's not going to see any of the evidence until they figure out what is going to happen with the appeal. So it could be a year or two before the general public sees the bridge guy video or any of that other evidence. I'll check out the prosecutor podcast, Judy. They're good. I've listened to them before. And yes, Allie, false convictions are rare. And one of the things that I've realized in my research with the law of Indiana and things like that are, even if the judge didn't hold hearings right away for certain motions or things like that, in the end she did, and she ruled on that evidence. And because of that, it would not have affected the trial. Now, she did something wrong that would have affected the trial and the way that, I mean, something major wrong, right? Then there's a good chance that he could get a retrial. But the things that are being said in the Facebook groups and online by other creators, you know, it baffles me. And that's part of the reason why I haven't come online in the past few days either, is because I've been so angry. Rumors and theories have plagued this case for 8 years. And unfortunately, people can't let go of those rumors and theories. And you got to realize that when you have a trial, that stuff's not going to come in. It's prejudicial towards the prosecution or the defendant. And so people are like, well, why didn't they talk about this? And why didn't they talk about that? Because it didn't have anything to do with the case against Richard Allen. So, like I said, I'm going to have a multi-series part in this. We're going to break a lot of things down and just go over the law and why things aren't allowed in, why certain things are allowed in, you know, the mistakes that I feel that law enforcement made during this case, the mistakes I feel that the defense team made during this case, the evidence that was shown to the jury, and why they came to the conclusion that he was guilty on all 4 counts. You got to realize that, so from what I heard from experts, for every day of testimony in a trial, the jury deliberates 1 hour for every day. Now, we had an 18-day trial, and I believe the jury deliberated between 19 and 20 hours through a span of 4 days. That is exactly what they should have been doing, you know? So, like I said, I've gotten angry quite a bit, yelled at the house here and to myself. Yeah, Discord's beeping. Sorry, I'll shut down Discord here for a minute. And like I said, I'm just frustrated. Very frustrated with the comments that I'm seeing in the Facebook groups, on Twitter, you know, and other people. So, and there's a lot of false information going out right now, and it upsets me because, like I said, there was no transparency. So, what I want you guys to do is, if you have questions about any certain part of the case, the trial, anything like that, what I would like you to do is, after this live stream is over, go down below the video and put your questions in the comments. That way I have them all in one place, and I can look up the answers for you and get that and answer them during next week's series of podcasts. Let's see. Usually when false confessions are made, it's not to your own family. He confessed to his wife and mother, very telling. And I think what's going to really pique your curiosity and interest is when those confessions were made and when the doctor, the psychiatrist who was giving him medication, says he was in a psychotic state and when he wasn't. That's going to be very telling to you guys, because a lot of these confessions were made when he was sane. Not only was the public limited access, but the media coverage, it was decidedly biased in favor of the defense conspiracies. Honest, ethical reporting is gone, and it's all about the money. Unfortunately, yes. I've seen errors in the mainstream media in quotes that they made during confessions and everything else. So, absolutely seeing that. We've got people out there telling their audience that people are going to kill Richard Allen. That is not the case at all. Okay? Nobody is out there to get rid of him. He is where we wanted him to be, in prison, or will be going back to prison once his sentencing is done. And this is a big thing, Speak Life. Yes, you have to have verifiable evidence with your theory or a third-party suspect. And the judge told them that repeatedly, but it went in and out their ears within a half a second. The fact that we can't count on media coverage should terrify everyone because of judges' reasoning for limiting public was that the media was there to report. Exactly. I'm not attacking family members. Never said anything about the family members. What I did say is that there's other YouTubers that are giving out false information. Harry says, don't be frustrated. Social media isn't real life. The real right verdict was reached, and that's the most important thing. Exactly. Let's see here. Yeah, you know what? I think the defense would have had a better chance attacking the timeline more and attacking Brad Weber's account of when he got home. There were a lot of things that they briefly touched on, but did not thoroughly attack and get evidence on. Now, 2017, did Brad have a cell phone? Did anybody extract the cell phone data from his phone to see what time where he was and when he was there? I mean, we have his time card, so we know what time he got to work and what time he left work. But I just think they focused on the Odinism part too much and could have done other things to help their case. Harry says, did you lock eyes with Richard during the trial, Marv? It seems he was staring down everyone in court at several times. Several times. Especially the days where I wore my tie-dyed sweatshirt that says Chicago on it. Absolutely, he stared me down. And he did it to several other people too. And blatantly, didn't try to cover it, nothing. So, yes, we saw that. KD says, knowing that this case was as big as it was, the judge should have let cameras broadcast the trial so everyone could see for themselves. That way we could see and hear firsthand. I agree with you. They had 3 cameras right there in the courtroom that were covered up by black trash bags. And if she didn't want, like, the crime scene photos out to the public, she could have just let us put the audio out like they did in the Lori Vallow Daybell case. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, Johnny, sorry, I thought you were talking about me. You know, at least there's transparency. You get to hear, by just having the audio, you get to hear what the testimony was. So, and there's nothing bad about that. I don't understand why, besides the fact that she hates all media, whether it's Main Street media or YouTubers or podcasters, it doesn't matter who you are. She doesn't like you. You know, she made that blatantly clear on multiple levels, and we'll talk about that in our series too. You know, it wasn't easy to do this for any of us. And I'm going to give props to all of those people that were there. Myself, Susan Hendricks, Aspen, Tom Webster, Murder Sheets, Hidden True Crime. I know that us got in most of the time for the testimony. There was a few days where I didn't get in the afternoon, but other people did. And one of the things that I am doing is I am comparing everybody's notes from the trial, mine, Tom's, Hidden True Crime, Murder Sheet, and even Andrea Burkhart, because she took excellent notes, even though I don't agree with her view on the case. And by doing that and combining all of our notes together, there were things that I missed that other people got, and then you should be able to get a pretty good view of what actually happened in the testimony for that individual. So, yep, there were some YouTubers there that were there only to ridicule and basically look down on others. We've seen that. They weren't there for the girls. Their actions speak louder than their words in this case. So, whatever. I know that one particular YouTuber has done these things in retaliation because I did the series about his son and his case. I expected it at some point. So, it's here, whatever. And yes, this has got to stop. I have seen a couple individuals that continue to bash the families, and I am hoping, beyond hope, that law enforcement, and once this case is over, law enforcement can and will do things about that. I am asking for your help today. If you come across any crime scene photos of Abby and Libby on any Facebook groups, websites, or posts, I'm asking that you send me the link or the name of the Facebook group that has it in there, because law enforcement is working on getting all of those pictures removed. In fact, the family wants arrests made because those pictures are online. So, if you could send me that information, that would be wonderful. You can send it to beyondtheevidence1@gmail.com, because we are going to put a stop to it. And we need your help doing that because we don't know where all the information is. All right. No, and I understand why Gull ran a tight ship. I really do. It could have gotten really nasty. And the past 3 days it did somewhat, outside at least. But there's things that she could have done to make this case more transparent for the public. Court TV, because in October 2023 hearing, they violated her courtroom decorum by broadcasting inside the courthouse. Yes. And then you had individuals that also were videotaping potential jurors and jurors' license plates. You had the 4 individuals the first day of court that actually videotaped the jurors going in and got all of their equipment confiscated. You had an individual that was trying to follow the jury back to the hotel. You have at least 3 YouTubers that claim that they did follow the jury back to the hotel and got footage. That's all jury tampering. And we'll see what happens with that. And they're right. You're right. Gull did decide in the actual trial itself that there were things that the prosecution was not allowed to bring in because it would be too prejudicial against Richard Allen. She doesn't get to sit up there and just say, "Oh, I think I'll vote this way. I'll deny this and I'll accept this." She has to go according to the law of Indiana. It's not her opinion or whatever. She has to follow the law. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm sure all of those reasons were why Gull didn't allow cameras. She was fed up with it right off the bat when some major things were done, and unfortunately, people just kept proving her right. Well, there was no holdout because in the end, all 12 voted guilty. So it was a unanimous verdict. It had to be. And I think the jury did an excellent job, in my opinion. They were engaged. They took notes. They watched the videos and the evidence very carefully. You know, if it was a video, they were watching, zoomed in on that TV, watching what was going on, taking notes when they needed to. If they got the paper copy, they gave them time during court to actually look at the paper copy of the photo or whatever it was that they got right then and there. And they didn't start questioning the witness again until everybody looked up from the jury and they made sure everyone was done looking over everything. Let's see. Some playground bullies showed up outside court. Yep. It took them a few days, however, compared to other trials, 1 to 2 hours. Yeah, and like I said, when looking at the statistics nowadays, when you have a jury trial, the jury deliberates 1 hour for every day of testimony. We had 18 days of testimony. I think the jury deliberated between 19 and 20 hours. So they were right there. And that's why I kept telling everybody, don't panic, don't panic. You know, I've seen this time after time after time watching court TV. Guilty verdicts take longer now. Quick question. I think I know the answer, but he will get life in prison with no parole, right? They can't bring in the death penalty like the RA supporters are saying, correct? No, they cannot bring in the death penalty. He is looking at 40 to 60 years on each count. So I believe the maximum he could get is 130 years. And in most times with murder convictions, it's without parole. So yeah, that's one of the lies, miscommunications that I'll be talking about. Let's see here. Carly Gregg was like 2 hours. Some of them are short. I mean, look at Sarah Boone. Hour and what, 15 minutes? Hour and 20 minutes? Bam, guilty. But her case wasn't as complex as this. There was a lot of direct evidence, including videos, that showed what he did to that man. This was what I call a circumstantial case. No big smoking gun. Right? So the jury had to follow the progression of the evidence in order to make their decision. Hey, Gambies, nice to see you. It was nice meeting you also. Let's see. I don't know. You know, when people say the jurors were divided, they're assuming they were divided. That's an assumption. It may not have been that way at all, but we won't know until we hear from a juror. And that's not going to be until after Christmas. I guarantee it. Maybe before Christmas, but with the sentencing coming out on the 20th of December, I expect to hear from the families first. And then after the families and after the holidays, maybe a juror or two will talk. Alexa, exactly. Finally, we got justice for the girls. Well, yeah, and you usually have one or two jurors in big cases like this that will talk. But like I said, we'll see when that time comes. I think most of all, everybody is waiting to hear what the families have to say. They've been under a gag order for so many years. And I'm waiting to hear what they have to say. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's an automatic mistrial right there. Why would law enforcement do that? These are the people that are just trying to find something to get the people riled up and get Richard Allen out of jail. Just my honest opinion, A's defense team just wanted the money and time in the spotlight. It has been said his lawyers would not let him confess and not go to trial. Thank God he was found guilty. I, after watching this trial, completely agree with you. After waiting day after day after day for them to bring it and actually make some sense into their theories and to really refute the prosecution evidence, they couldn't do it. Like I said, they were getting details wrong of the crime scene and the area and everything else. They had no idea how to even describe walking across that bridge to the jury. The family handled themselves perfectly, in my opinion. There was a reason that the front row on that side was filled with reporters or left empty, and the families were in the second and third row. And I do know firsthand that there were thoughts of jumping all three rows to get to him. But they kept their cool, they kept their composure, and they let the trial take its place. They let the evidence speak for itself. Kathleen says another creator had a side by side of him on the bridge and then in the bar. Same height, same build, same body language. I agree. You still have at the wrong bridge. That's sad. So I was not able to see the daughter on the stand because that is one of the afternoons that I was not able to get in. But from what I heard, she was very anxious. They only asked her 4 or 5 questions and she was off the stand. She would glance over at Richard. And as soon as he glanced up, she would glance away. I do know that Kathy Allen was not in the courtroom at that time. She was at the courthouse. She was outside the courtroom. Because when I left for lunch break, she was sitting out there. I don't know if she wasn't allowed to be in there for Brittany's testimony and the testimony that day, or if she chose not to be in there. So, I wouldn't want to be that young lady, that's for sure. Ellie threatened the jury. No, they did not. Yeah, and we'll see this because if one of the jurors was bullied into a guilty conviction, they will be the one to talk. You know, it's just that always happens. My professional senses are telling that something is odd between Ari and his daughter. Maybe she lied to protect her mom. There's definitely some kind of dynamic between Richard and the daughter. I don't know what it is. And that's only because of what people described to me about how their interaction in the courtroom was. So, yep, they did. They deliberated, debated, and opened up the evidence and looked at everything. Yeah, I can see that too, Kathleen. It was a very small courtroom. I can tell you that. and they definitely couldn't get any more people in there. They did squeeze in more than 24 when they had the chance to, when there was extra seats that weren't being used. And I think because of the way this played out with the defense team, and the things that they were trying to bring in, that was another reason why she didn't televise it. But in my honest opinion, even though she didn't televise it, she still could have released the audio. Do you have an opinion on KA after being around her in person? I can tell you that she is very nice. She is a very nice woman. I think that certain individuals have filled her head with nonsense, and that has caused her to be in denial and not look at the fact that he could have been guilty. And that is why she reacted the way she did. Yes, Indiana does have the death penalty. So I wasn't in the jury or in the courthouse for the verdict, but I was told that once now this is what I was told. They were all ushered in. They were told that there's to be absolutely no reaction. Okay. And then the jurors came in and Judge Go wanted it over. She was like, count 1 guilty, count 2 guilty, count 3 guilty, count 4 guilty. Quick as can be. As soon as the first guilty was read, there was a noise from the family side. Like somebody wept or said yes or something. Okay. Not a big deal. Not really loud. Some didn't even hear that part. From what I was told, Kathy started sobbing uncontrollably. She was shocked at the guilty verdicts. And that individuals did have to help hold her up when the jury left and when the galley was supposed to stand. I was told that they did give her some time with Richard after the verdict was read. And then when she came outside, she said that this was not over. I haven't got to read them all because I've just been trying to accumulate them all. But I will be doing that here. And like I said, it's going to take me a couple days to get acclimated back home once I get there. And we're supposed to get a huge snowstorm next week. That's why I'm leaving Sunday night, is so that I can try to miss the snow and traveling home. But once I've got all of my notes and everybody else's notes combined together, I will answer that question for you. That's hard to say, Ari. It all depends on what the next steps for him are. For an appeal, he's going to have new attorneys. You know, what are those new attorneys going to see? What are they going to tell her, about his chances? I don't know. Okay, so for this question, because of what she said in one of the taped calls, she said, "You told me you were on the trails, not on the bridge." And because that picture was so pixelated, she may have thought at one time it could be him, but she truly didn't believe that that was him on the bridge. Does that make sense? Well, that's what we're going to find out, Alexa. There's a lot of things the defense people are saying, or people that are on the side of the defense, that we have no evidence of. And you can bet if they had evidence that Elvis Field's data was at that crime scene, the third party, that's all they would have needed, actual evidence to get the third party Odinism into this trial. So that tells me they didn't have the evidence. Well, I think that Miracle Heart's part of what she needs to do is not just be so defiant that he didn't do it. She has to open up her ears and her heart and actually listen to what he was trying to tell her. Yep. You always have people who defend the defendant. The exit route Rick took wasn't ever explained, was it? I heard something about him going behind the Harvest store back to his car. That is one of the things that I'm looking into because, like I said, some of the testimony regarding his car, if they played the video of his car in court, I am talking with the other individuals who were in court to get a complete answer on that. So once I get that, I will let you know. Get Out of My Kitchen says, I can't imagine after all those years with someone finding out something out like this, right? And you think you know that person. I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen a spouse say, it couldn't have been my husband or it couldn't have been my wife. That's just not the person that they knew. You know, those perpetrators and those killers or murderers completely had a different side to them when they were away from their family. And I've heard that about Richard Allen also from women that he worked with. I got to talk to some women that worked with him at Walmart and other places like that said he was completely different than what they're portraying him to be. That is one trial I did not get to watch along with the Leilani Simon trial because they were both taking place at the same time as Delphi. On my 8-hour car ride home, I'm probably going to replay the trials on one of those cases so that I can find out exactly what happened. Yes, the sentencing is open to the public, but once again, you're going to have limited seating. That could have very well been Gadget Ball. I would like to hear from law enforcement exactly what they found regarding Elvis Fields in their investigation. No, on the appeal, Baldwin and Rozzi will not be his attorneys. They have to have appellate attorneys for the appeal. Please remember this. Tomorrow, I'm going to do another live on the Flora fires. On Sunday, we are having the Flora Memorial Walk at 4 p.m. at the train depot station in Flora, Indiana. I will be there. Many of the other YouTubers will be there. Please come and join us. Yep, Todd, and this is some of the okay, so a lot of you weren't here when I first started. I don't know if you've had a chance to go back, but I'm letting you know now that I've already started this, and I will continue once I get home, but not next week, but the week after. I'm going to start a multi-series part on Delphi. We're going to go over the Indiana law of why certain evidence wasn't allowed in. We're going to go over the evidence itself and why the jurors came to the decision that they did. We're going to go over what I felt the defense team did incorrectly, and other things. So like I said, it's going to be a multi-part series. We're going to break this down, and one of the things we're going to look at is all those theories and rumors that were out there that just weren't true. So that'll be a fun interactive live for us, because I'm going to need all the audience to help me remember all of the different things that was said. But we're just going to break this down and, end this case with a breakdown of the trial. And then at the end, we're going to honor Abby and Libby together. I'll give you some information about each one of them, about their lives, different pictures that I've accumulated. We'll take a look at those. One of the things that I did want to say to everybody, okay, is that going on right now is Abby's Angels. This was a tradition that Anna started with Abby when she was still alive. Every Christmas, they would gather items and put them in a shoebox and give them out to kids in the community. Okay? Anna has continued this on behalf of Abby's legacy. It's called Abby's Angels. I already put in the community post what Abby's Angels is, what items they're looking for donations, and a wish list on Amazon. Please, after this conviction and this guilty verdict, if you can, please go and donate some of those items to Abby's Angels so that they can help so many more kids in the community. I will post all of the information on the community page again after I get back tonight, so that it's right there up in front and you can see what items are being requested. Remember, it's something that's got to fit in a shoebox. Pens, pencils, sticky notes, deodorant, Matchbox cars for little boys, Barbie dolls, all kinds of things, slinkies, anything that could fit in a box, shoebox. And so I'm asking anyone who can to support that cause in Abby's memory. Let's see here. You got to watch it? Okay. Let's see. I've heard that he had an alibi too, and that's one of the things that I'm hoping once the sentencing and the appeal is done is that law enforcement comes out and answers some of these questions. Oh yeah, Jinx, absolutely. I'll be there. So I am not going to be able to come for sentencing, but I will report on what happens. I don't know if we have an answer to that, Johnny. Since the maximum sentence he could get is 130 years, that's automatically a death sentence. And Carroll County is not very wealthy and profitable. If he did go for the death sentence, there's multiple mandatory appeals for a death sentence. So maybe the reason is that with the maximum sentence, they didn't need to go for the death penalty because he would already pass away in jail. Yeah, like the 6-foot bear and rabbit, or the teddy bear, or the smiley face on the sheet, and all kinds of crap we heard. And then Randy wants everybody to know that on April 5th at 1 p.m. Will be the last memorial walk for the girls. We are not going to hold memorial walks twice a year like we have been. I'm sure there will be future ones on anniversaries or whatever, but not like we regularly have been. So if you're interested in learning about the area, join us on April 5th at 1 p.m. Okay, so Abby's Angels boxing event works with the Salvation Army. They send the boxes all over the United States. So that is wonderful. I know, I won't be back till late. Yes, support Abby's Angels. And then if you want to support Libby and her legacy, I talked to Becky, and the way that we can do that is to make donations to the softball park. But Abby's Angels is specifically this time of year for Christmas. So we want to make sure that that information got out right away. Yeah, everyone had an alibi except for Richard Allen. And one of the other things that we'll talk about is how come no one on the trail saw anybody else dressed in that manner? Okay, so you heard 180. I heard 40 to 60 years per count. So, and I thought I read somewhere it was 130 max, but maybe not. Now, there is a good possibility that they will drop the 2 lower counts, the kidnapping counts, and just sentence him on the actual murder felony charges. That is common. in cases like this, but we'll have to wait and see. I think we're all feeling like that, Illuminati Inc. I know I sure am. It's been a lot of emotions the past few weeks. And then with the conviction and seeing what's happening online and the comments I'm seeing, definitely a lot of up and down motions. And I'm still trying to recover from sleeping on the ramp and the sidewalk. So, like Jinx said, she's just getting over a cold. I'm getting over my cold. I'm hoping I'm getting over it. We'll see how tomorrow morning plays out. Fox 59 said 135 years max. Okay. Thank you. Stephanie, that's a good question. We know that in the past, child killers, anybody who messes with a child does not have an easy time in prison. It's just a fact. I've talked about, Jeffrey Dahmer, what happened to him. The Gabriel Fernandez story about how the mother and the boyfriend have been beat up numerous times in prison for what they did to him. We know that Chris Watts has been beat up. All depends on who he's around and what their situation is. We know that somebody who is already in jail for life wouldn't think twice about doing something really bad to him. Do I want that? No. I want him to serve his time. I want him to have to sit in that cell and think about what he did to those girls every single day. And know that he's never, ever going to have a normal life. Absolutely, Mustang. Illuminati, a lot of us got attached to this case. Yeah, that ballpark is amazing. And it's such a good place for the community and for the kids to go, and not just for the kids, the adults and the families in general. It's got the stand on there for music and entertainment, and it's got the ballparks, and it's got a place for the kids to play, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I'll be contributing to both Abby's Angels and the ballpark every year. Eventually he'll go to Gen Pop, Johnny. When that'll be, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We got to find out where he's going to end up first. Oh yeah, he did. This year he got beat up in jail. Let's see here. Well, Todd, make sure you bring those to the series, because I'm going to count on you guys to bring up all those rumors and theories, because I can't always remember them all. so we can debunk them and say, okay, this, what we heard here is true and what we heard here is false. Harry says, great boots on the ground coverage, Marv. Big respect for camping out all those nights. Watching you and Greeno live as the verdict came in was memorable. That was such an emotional time that, you know, knowing that everybody in that courtroom already knew, and we were waiting and waiting. And I had an individual come up to me and say, guilty on all 4 counts, but it's not confirmed. So I couldn't say anything to the audience, but I was thinking it. And then we finally had that individual that came out and ran away from the computer. And we were told guilty on all 4 counts. My reaction to that ended up being on the front page of the Carroll County Comet. If you haven't seen it, I'll show it to you next time. And coming back and just sharing that moment with all of you, that guilty verdict, and then just having the emotions swipe over me and come out. It was amazing. Amazing and so sad at the same time. All right. That would be a good idea, Randy, because a lot of people don't know where the ballpark is. Greeno was bawling. Thank you so much, Janine. No, not to the defense. To the way that he was treated in Westville, yes, but not to the defense itself. There was a lot of times that when the defense was up there asking questions and everything, there was jurors shaking their head no. So, yeah. And by the questions they were asking meant that they understood what was being testified about. And some of those questions went against what the defense was saying, and that's how you knew they were understanding what the information was that was being given out. Cookie Crunch, thank you so much, says, hi Marv, thank you so much for the exceptional coverage on Delphi. You're welcome. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be able to come here and attend the trial each day, get into as many sessions as I can, and give you that information. And I think once we break this down, and not next week, but the week after, you guys will understand a lot more of what happened in there. So I'm glad that I and others could do that. Elaine says it's an awesome pick, Marv. It's an excellent shot. I Googled it. Oh, thank you so much. PTRB, no, the audio picks and everything else will not be available from the court until after the appeal is decided. So, unfortunately, it's going to be a while, I think, before all of that comes out. Andrea says, who's watching the big fight tonight? I'll be watching it. I'm going to go and watch with Andrea. Can't wait to see that. We've been learning a little bit more from individuals. There were individuals that worked with him that did speak out negatively upon him. There was a couple of people that did come to the trial that were friends of his and wanted to come and support him. And we did everything we could to make sure that those people got into at least the morning session or the afternoon session, depending on whether they were there. So the gag order will be lifted once sentencing is completed after December 20th. Who's fighting? Mike Tyson and Jake Paul and all kinds of other people. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. Man, if you saw their last fight, it was bloody. Yeah. I wish we knew his schedule, routine. We don't know much about his daily life. I agree. And I agree with you, Mustang. I hope they do a press conference once this is all over and that law enforcement actually backs up what they said and explains some things to us. Yes, she knows that he was found guilty. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. Like I said, please join us Sunday for the Flora Fires Memorial Walk in Flora, Indiana. I am leaving after that walk to head home. I'm probably going to do a half and half trip where I drive halfway, stop somewhere, rest, and then drive the rest of the way. And the first couple days back home, I'm going to have to spend with the hubby and my son. And then I'll continue getting all my notes together and everything, and then we'll start that series the following week. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, if you have specific questions about the trial, the case, anything like that, put them down underneath the comments. That way, while I'm researching and getting all my information together for the series, I can make sure that I find answers to those questions. And Cookie Crunch, thank you once again for the donation. I really appreciate it. All right, everyone. You have a good night and go enjoy those fights if you're going to be watching them. Bye. Thank you for watching Beyond the Evidence. Today, I gave you my own opinions and analysis, but I always encourage you to do your own research and form your own conclusions. If you're interested in true crime and want to join me on this journey of discovery, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of my uploads. If you'd like to support the channel, join our membership, and if you have any suggestions for cases that you want me to cover, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, justice matters. This is Beyond the Evidence, and I'll see you in the next video.